I was like, this stuff is so boring. I'm not gonna put it out. I was like, sometimes you just get you get used to that. You don't even know if it's good or not anymore.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages,
what's going on today?
For tuning in to the 10th episode of the TrueShot guest spot.
Are we celebrating?
I guess. Well, I mean, we have an Italian guest on for this week, so let's get some pizza.
Oh, I think I'm going to go have lasagna after this.
Lasagna?
That's Italian.
Listen, I don't trust any food that is spelled way differently than how it sounds.
Lasagna.
Yeah, no, forget it.
No?
No. But anyways, this week on the podcast, we have Federico Ascari. And if you're not familiar with Mr. Federico Ascari, who he is, number one, he's been in a bunch of bands, but currently he's in the Wind Covenant, and he's also a producer.
Yes.
He's worked with some bands like Defamed, Drown in Sulphur,
Feeder to the Sharks.
Sharks in Your Mouth.
Sharks in Your Mouth.
Sharks in Your Mouth. And, a lot of other really strong, up-and-coming Italian bands.
Yeah, but he does a whole bunch of different genres.
Yeah.
Pop.
Yeah.
He does everything.
He does everything. So we talked to him all about that. I mean, there's just so much in this episode to unpack. I'm looking forward to you guys hearing it. And make sure you check out the Wind Covenant.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to listen to this podcast. If you get to this point, you're like, screw this. Go listen to the Wind Covenant, and
you will not be disappointed.
Absolutely not. But without further ado, here is Federico Ascari, producer and guitar player for the Wind Covenant. Adam, who do we have on the podcast today?
I'm excited today. We had to reschedule this, but we got Federico Ascari from the Wind Covenant, as well as other bands that he's worked with and done quite a bit of production work. So we'll talk all about that, right?
So you think that's what he's most known for, is those two things there?
For me, anyways, yeah.
Well, to me, he is most known for adding both Paradigm and Find Me I'm Missing to the Gencore playlist on Spotify. There you go. There we go. He added both of our songs to the playlist, so that's what he's most known for. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, Federico, we're very excited to talk to you. As soon as we heard the first single from your new project, the Wind Covenant, Damnation, we were just like, we got to find who this is, who to talk to, and we got to make this happen.
Yes.
And Adam was very excited. So yeah, I know Adam. I know that this is you're ready to go. So go ahead, man. Start it off for us.
Yeah. So for those who don't know who the Wind Covenant is, they are one of the latest projects that Federico is working on, and they are an Italian genty prog. They're all over the place, man. I mean, in terms of stylistics, and if you haven't heard it, you got to check it out. I wanted to kind of go through the song during the podcast, but live we can't really do that as we record it, so easily, anyways, we're not set up for it. But we'll talk about it, and it just blew our minds, like Rich was saying. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, where you come from? Obviously, Italy is where the band is based out of. But tell us a little bit about, Federico and how this all kind of formed. Because in my head, I've already called you like a semi-super group, right? So, I mean, you've all had different projects. You've all been in different bands or are currently in other bands, projects doing things. How did this all form?
Yeah, okay. So first of all, thank you guys for having me. I'm really happy to be here, and thanks for reacting to our song Damnation. I'm really happy you guys liked it. So, yeah, I can tell you a bit about myself. I'm an Italian producer, mixing engineer mainly. So that's my main thing, my main job. And I've been working for the last pretty much 9 years, mainly on metal. With metal bands, local bands, and bigger bands as well. And I worked with bands such as Defamed, Drown in Sulphur. Then I did my own bands, which is this one, the Wind Covenant. And in the middle, like I did a ton of metal projects, rock bands, alternative rock, pop punk, synthwave projects, pop projects. I'm kind of all over the place stylistically, but I think that's what makes it interesting for me. So I like a ton of stuff, and I try my best to like produce, mix, and master all these kind of projects in the best way that I can. So that's what I do. I started playing when I was a little boy. I was 6, and I started taking piano lessons, and I studied piano for like 5 or 6 years. And then actually what happened is that I started playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've heard the song No Cigar by Millen Collin, and that blew my mind. And then I had to start like, playing modern music. So I blame Tony Hawk for getting me into music and into music production. And I started playing guitar and bass. Took lesson for a few years. Then I did uni. I took courses for audio engineering. Started producing and working with bands in my teenage years, and it kind of snowballed into a full-time job. So I'm really I'm really glad and happy that this all came into place this way. And actually, the way the Wind Covenant was born was a few years back. My previous band kind of we split up, and I was left without my own project, so I didn't really know what to do. And I was working with all these kind of bands. They all had their own style, and I love when producing a band. Like I want to develop their vision, so they have their own style, and I need to like make them the best version of themselves they can be. But I didn't really have my own thing, so I wanted to do that. And we started working on the Wind Covenant at the end of 2016. So it's a while, yeah. Yeah. And actually, the first lineup wasn't even this one. Like, I'm the only remaining member because it was like it was super hard to, find the time for all the members to get together for a very ambitious project like this one, because of course I kind of picked some band members from bands that I work with, and like other cool bands, and yeah, I chose the members very carefully, but yeah, after that we started working on songs, and it was kind of like the person with the vision for the band. Me and the singer, actually the screamer, were the main composers for the song.
Oh, nice.
Here's a fun fact, actually. The screamer, he's a pretty talented composer. In fact, in his other bands, he was playing like bass guitar, and yeah, he's a very talented musician. And he actually was the bass player in Ember Town, which is a band that kind of went viral a couple of years ago on Dreambound. So that's a fun fact for you guys. But yeah, so me and him wrote most of the songs, and then the other guys helped us with their own parts, their arrangements.
Yep.
And that's pretty much it. We have actually a lot of songs ready, and that's why it took a lot of time. And then we had to balance it between our like day job, my production work, their other bands, because they're all busy. And we really didn't want to rush this. We wanted to take the time to create something that we were really proud of. And we finally took we finally called it today and released the first single. The release went great, and now we have a ton more that we're ready to release. So that's who we are.
Yeah, I gotta say, it blew my mind, because we usually, we actually reacted to you guys because of Galactic Criminal, who just basically sent Rich a message and says, this is a must-do. So that's how we found out about you, you know what I mean? Which is great, because it happens quite a bit now. Actually, since then, Galactic Criminal sends us some good suggestions. So
awesome.
That's really cool. So it is kind of like a super group. You've kind of handpicked musicians that will kind of fit the box. So
yeah,
no, that's that's pretty cool. So we've also reacted to both Defamed And Drown in Sulphur. So you did
Yeah.
all the production work for those guys, or did they like record remotely and then send you stems to mix and master and produce, or how did that work?
All right. So actually, I've known those guys for a long time, and their first single, which is an epilogue to the Arrogant, which is the first one that went viral. We actually recorded that in my apartment that I had in uni, so that was in my living room, kind of a random situation, but it turned out great in the end. And so yeah, we developed this relationship, and those singles you reacted to, I both recorded, mixed and mastered, and also produced them. So yeah, I did pretty much everything on those. I did sound design, so I added like strings, sound effects, and stuff like that. We have a really good relationship. We're actually very good friends, and they have some very cool material coming out next. So
Nice.
I hope you guys will react to that as well.
Yeah, because we have a lot of we have it on the list. We have In Tenebris or Tenebris by Defamed on the list coming out, because I know that Drown and Sulphur and Defamed are essentially the same band minus the drummer, who's listen, he's a lot of things by the sounds of it. But we'll that's neither here nor there. We'll leave that in the past. Defamed is a great project. I mean, when we first heard them, it blew our minds, just like the Wind Covenant. So I was gonna ask you, because you had touched on, and I actually saw that you posted a meme today about your catalog of your different records that you've produced. What is that like, going between the different styles? Because I know that a lot of producers traditionally kind of stick with one style. Do you find yourself that learning new things from like a rock or maybe even pop or whatever in metal? Do you find new interesting ideas for whether it's different like strings or just anything that's not traditionally in metal that you have found from those other types of genres?
Absolutely, man. I think it's so refreshing to do multiple genres, and I understand why some producers don't really want to do that, or they're more attracted to just one style. I was attracted to only metal for a long time, but I think that like music production as well as songwriting is kind of a thing about evolution, and I don't want to say that evolution means like to different genres for everyone, but I think it does for me, because as soon as I started listening to more genres and producing, maybe making beats, like covering songs in different styles, whatever, I felt super creative, and that gave me like a real creativity boost in all the other genres. I mean, for me, I like that, and I can't really see myself doing only one genre from now on. Like, I have my own preference for stuff. Some genres I like more than others, but I kind of like to jump from one project to another one that doesn't share anything stylistically. I think it's refreshing and keeps things interesting. So yeah, and for sure, there's like elements that you can take from one genre and put into others to make it more interesting. So for example, I don't know if you've seen the Gasolina cover by Defamed.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, okay. So you'll notice that during the chorus and the breakdowns, there's like some like reggaeton style percussions in there in the middle of the breakdown. So I don't know. I think it was a fun addition to that doesn't really take away from them being metal, but it kind of like gels the heaviness with the original concept of the song. So I like that.
Yeah, that song in particular, when I saw that they covered that, like I remember very vividly being 11, 10 years old, listening to that song while playing basketball outside, just on like a Walkman or something. Like I've never really been too much into a lot of like hip hop or rap or anything like that, but that song goes hard. And then when I saw a deathcore cover of it, I'm like, I didn't even want to wait to do a reaction. I was like, I just got to watch this. But that's really interesting. So Adam, what we've learned. Oh, so go ahead.
I was just saying that when they told me that they were gonna cover Gasolina, I was like, please tell me you're not joking, because this is gonna like be the best thing ever. And when I remember when I shared it on my socials for the first time, I was like, this is both the best and the worst thing that I've done. I was so hyped for that song to be released. Yeah, I like that. I love that.
So, Adam, what I got out of all of that is, not that Federico's a very talented producer, but that the Wind Covenant's going to become a boy band eventually. That's what I got out of that.
I mean,
Hey,
boy,
no,
see that?
no holds barred, right? No limits to creativity.
no, I think that the Wind Covenant will remain a heavy band because that was the initial concept, and I don't really like to change too much from the initial concept. I think that when you also give yourself like a frame you want to work within, I think it makes things even more interesting. But never say never. We'll see what happens. But we do like clean choruses, so.
Yeah.
Dude, that surprised me. This is good route back to the single that was released in May. You got Leah McKinney on that, so I definitely want to talk about that a little bit. But when that clean chorus hit, I wasn't expecting it.
No.
Because it was just so like genty and deathcore, and then boom, it's like the air comes in. It made the song breathe. So was that something again planned? I'm sure Was it planned for you guys?
Yeah, it was super intentional. So actually, something that I used to listen to a lot when I was in high school was like emo bands. I'm a huge emo fan.
Nice.
What can I do? And so yeah, I've always liked the super melodic choruses. I know that's kind of a turn off for like deathcore fans, but I just want to do my thing, and that's it. And so Luca, which is the guitar player and clean singer, actually also plays guitar and sings in Prospective, which is another very talented Italian band that I also produced 2 records for. And so when I had the idea to ask him, I was like, that's the perfect guy for clean choruses. So yeah.
Yeah, so he sings in that band. I was listening to him the other day. I don't want to say it's a similar sound, but it's definitely in the room of the Wind Covenant. So, I mean, you handpicked that vocal, obviously knowing you were going to do clean vocals, right?
Yep.
Exactly. No, that's definitely awesome.
Yeah, because his voice reminds me a lot of the guitar player from Silent Planet a little bit. I'm not sure. Yeah, they like that super. I like just angelic. I like because when you hear the song, it's like very like genty, and then like the vocals, the screams are very powerful, and then all of a sudden it just goes into that, and it's just like, whoa, like it just takes you back. So I thought that it was like a really nicely done, just super well done in terms of just throwing the viewer off balance. And I think especially watching the music video, which was super engaging, and you're so into the music, and all of a sudden the clean vocals come in, it just throws you through a loop. So what I was going to ask is, because I know that obviously you've been around for a little while, these other band members have been around for a little while.
Yep.
How did you because a lot of bands, right, like a lot of first time bands, they'll put out their first single and it doesn't get 68,000 views on YouTube. What do you attribute that to, that kind of success right off the bat?
All right, so we definitely planned this in detail. So we took the time to really figure out our strategy for the release. So we actually ran, well, first of all, we made sure that the songs were the absolute best we could do, both like songwriting wise and production wise. I did a ton of mixed versions. Like the guys they loved the first mixed version, and I was like, okay, thank you. I'm happy you liked it. I'm just gonna keep making 10 other versions and like choose one myself. they're used to me like taking some time to do my own thing, but they respect that, and they're very happy with the result in the end. So yeah, as I said, we made sure that the product was the absolute best we could do. And after that, we went to a great video director. We shot a couple of videos. In fact, the second one is already like ready to be released.
Nice.
Yeah, and we made sure that the pictures look professional. Everything was as good as we do with the budget that we had. And then we launched a pre-save campaign for Spotify. So we actually did like a merch giveaway kind of thing where people would pre-save the song, send us the screenshot, tag us, and they will be entered in this giveaway. So yeah, we gave away 3 shirts. We had a bunch of pre-saves, and I think that helped the Spotify algorithm recognizing that it was a song that people were waiting for. So more than YouTube, what surprised us was the actual response on Spotify, because it's actually reached the 10,000 monthly listeners on the first month, which was way more than I had expected. But yeah, like the algorithmic playlists, like Release Radar, and the other one, I don't
Discover Weekly.
Yeah, Discover Weekly, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and as you said, I've also made this playlist that we are kind of like promoting right now, because I think it's a cool thing, like both from a fun perspective, like people can know what we like, what we were influenced by, and we also kind of can give something back to the community, like helping some people get a few streams. Not that it's a huge playlist, but we're doing what we can. And I think it's cool for bands to have their own playlist, because if the playlist grows, I think that you can also drop your new songs once it comes out, and that will also help with the Spotify algorithm. So
yeah, so I wanted to ask you about that, because I think that is one thing that in the whole, because there's so many different elements that go into marketing just a one song. There's everything, but the one thing that I think often goes overlooked is the artist's own playlist. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that, because that's something that I've been looking into for us, is because we have a playlist of songs that we do like for the reaction channel, but it's not really like what we would listen to, kind of like how the Gentcore playlist is. So how do you go about marketing a playlist? Because I think that's kind of difficult to kind of do that, is to market a playlist. So how do you go about doing that?
All right. So not actually super difficult. I had help from Giovanni from Noiseless, who's a guy that's involved with marketing for like alternative bands, heavy bands, and he's also the guy who helped us with our YouTube promotion. So you can all get in touch with him, and I can give you like the name, so you can add his link to the description. But so we basically like promoted it in 2 ways. First of all, I posted it in a ton of Facebook groups, saying just like, here's my playlist. If you guys like gent, progressive metalcore, and stuff like that, maybe you will like this. And I also like asked the people to submit their songs. I added some of them, the ones that I thought had the best production value. So that's the thing that gave it the initial spark, let's say. And then we kept promoting it on Instagram stories. So that's it. Like people will just swipe up and go right to the playlist.
Nice. Yeah, because the swipe up on Instagram is very valuable, and I cannot wait for the day that we get 10,000 followers and we can get that ourselves. Because that swipe up, man, saves so much time for it. It's such a minor convenience, but it really works, rather than link in bio or whatever like that. They just go whoop, and it's right there. So yeah, that's
if you're promoting a post or a story, you can actually add the swipe up, even if you don't have the 10,000 subscribers.
Oh, I didn't know that. We're learning that, Adam. We're learning something new every day over here.
That's a good thing that we're learning.
Can add it.
Yeah, because I mean, because the thing is, right, is that with playlists, is that I know that you had said that it's not a huge playlist, but it's got 600 something likes, but I would rather be on a playlist with 600 something likes than one with 100,000 likes and it's all bots. So I think it's super important, because we've definitely run into that numerous times where we've gotten involved with some less than forthcoming Spotify curators, and you see the 100,000 followers and the profiles have 20 followers, and it's just like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would this profile only have 20 followers when this playlist has all this? So absolutely. No, I think that is super important. So as far as the YouTube promotion, I know that you had said that you guys really, really plan this out, and I think that that's something that also goes overlooked with a lot of bands is just having some kind of a strategy.
Right.
Mhm.
So, without dive, I don't want you to give away all of the juicy details, but what were some of your YouTube strategies?
Well, I mean, the main one is definitely getting the targeting right, like targeting the right audience, because I've had bands that I produced in the past, running ads on their YouTube videos, but getting a ton of views and no engagement, like no likes and comments, because maybe the targeting was too generic or too broad or whatever, or maybe it was just plain right. So for example, if you're like doing a if you have a gen song or video or whatever, and you like add metal to the interest while setting the audience, then it will show that video to like Metallica fans, which are not really interested to your style. So
Right.
you get, even if you get like a ton of views, it's basically people that are streaming the just the ad before the actual video, but they're not gonna click or like look for your band and the song name to come to your video and leave a comment and add a like. So I really did not want to have like a million views on my video and very few likes and comments. So I was very clear with the guy that helped us with marketing. I told him I want just real engagement and people that will actually like enjoy this content. So I think this is like the main thing and the only thing really. Then it just comes down to like the actual placement. There's different strategies for those who are into Google Ads, but I suggest like talking with an expert about this kind of stuff. I'm no expert.
Yeah, yeah. No, because YouTube is actually, I was talking to Adam before this, and YouTube stuff is stuff that I've been trying to kind of delve into because looking at like the Google ads, it's like super like it's like kind of broad in terms of like what you want to focus in on because there's like when you want to you can do like rock music or
Right.
there's not even like a metal category. It's like metal heads and it's like well that's extremely broad. I mean that could be Alice in Chains to Slaughter to Prevail, you know? So, no, that's interesting. Yeah, I definitely, if you want to, you should give us that contact. I'd love to talk to this gentleman about some
Absolutely.
YouTube stuff. I mean, I'm using the podcast, I know, for my own satisfaction right now, but, that's okay. But so I wanted to ask you also about kind of breaking through, because also, I mean, metalcore, deathcore, gen, in and of itself is already a niche kind of genre.
Yeah.
What is that like in Italy? Because we're over here in the U.S. and we complain that we're in a very small pocket of the U.S.
Right.
And we're like, this is tough. But in Italy, I mean, that's got to be very difficult to break through. No.
Yeah, I mean that's opening a can of worms, really, because actually the metal scene here was like pretty big. Up until a few years ago, we actually had a few bands like becoming really big, like Fresh God Apocalypse. We had Upon This Dawning and a bunch of others. And lately it's just like an underground thing. There's not many places that do live shows yet. There's actually a very cool booking like company that's called Versus, who they like every year they do this festival called the Dissonance Festival, and they bring in bands from all over the world, bigger bands like Northlane and like the huge bands. But apart from that, there's not really like a big scene here. So people and bands just like looking at the internet or looking to tour Europe and get out of like the small underground scene that's here. And I gotta say that some bands are actually able to do that. I've been fortunate enough to work with a few bands that have gone viral, as I said, like Defamed, Drown in Sulphur, Sharks in Your Mouth, and they actually can get the recognition they deserve on the internet, and they eventually go on like touring Europe, and I hope in the future they will also do bigger things. But yeah, it's I think it's harder than the US. I'm not sure because I'm not in the US, but we're always grinding. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Adam, were you gonna say something?
No, no, no. Go for
Oh,
it. I was letting you finish.
yeah. I was just gonna say, yeah, because because traditionally, what has been, kind of what is that Europe is kind of a big metal, um, continent. The Europe is very
It's more
the big,
mainstream. Let's say
yeah, the
mainstream,
big
but popular.
yeah, the big festivals and stuff like that. So I was curious as to that. And I know that you had touched on, using the internet and stuff like that, which I think is something that, no matter where you are, should be a goal of a band, especially in today's day and age. One, being 2020, and two, obviously, COVID is just totally throwing a wrench in everything. But I think that there's still this, like, I don't know. There's like this huge emphasis on needing to play shows to build popularity, and I don't think that's necessarily the way that it has to be done anymore. Would you agree with that?
Uh, yes. I mean, I like that. I know that bands want to play shows, and I understand that, and I respect them, and I think that's the like probably the most fun part for most people.
Oh yeah.
But sometimes it's not the most effective. Like if you're touring and opening for a bigger band, then probably it is. If you're playing the right venues in the right country, it probably is. If you're playing like for in a small venue in the middle of nowhere in a country where there's like 10,000 metal fans overall, that's not really gonna move the needle. So you can do both, absolutely. No one said that you should do like just one or the other. I think you should definitely do both. But like probably the internet nowadays just offers more option for a lot of people. There's a ton of talented people that hasn't really played a big gig, but they're super talented. So they deserve the recognition, I think.
So keeping in mind of the internet, right? So Lee McKinney, right?
Uh-huh.
Not he's in the U.S. He's on your track, right? I'm sure there's there's a marketing aspect of that. It's a name aspect. I know he also does production as well, but he's a Kiesel artist. If anybody knows me and knows I'm a Kiesel fan, but I know he did have some home time, right? That he was basically saying, hey, if people want projects done, production, or guest solos or anything like that, was it recent that you kind of contracted him to say, or said, hey man, you want to be a feature on our track, or was that something that you guys had done a couple of years ago? Or tell me about the process of getting him on the track.
Yeah, I think the guest solo was done like I'm not sure, but I think last year in the autumn or end of the summer. Um, well, yeah. Well, first of all, we didn't really want to get a guest that wasn't really a fit for the project. We really did want someone who was perfect for it, and we were really influenced by, as you can hear from the song "Born of Osiris," "Veil of
Yep.
Maya," yeah, that kind of style. So we grew up listening to his songs, and I actually got to meet him at the NAMM show in 2019, which I
very cool.
quickly, yeah, yeah. And then later on that year, I hit him up, sent him an email, and sent the track, and said, hey, this is the project I'm working on. Would you like to feature on the song? And he loved it. I'm sure he is very picky with the projects that he takes on. And so yeah, first of all, I was very happy that he said yes. And he sent us like the first version. We were like blown away by it. We thought it was perfect. And yeah, I actually had the chance to meet him again at the NAMM show in January. So I had the chance to thank him personally. And yeah, he was also stoked about the track coming out. So yeah, overall, a very cool experience.
Now, he did the only solo on the track, right? Because there's only one. There was a couple of, I guess you could say there were kind of two parts to it, but he did the whole thing, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yep. No, that was awesome.
We are like, I'm not a super shreddy technical guitar player. Like, I like strange rhythm patterns and the riffs, but I'm not like the sweep guy. The clean singer Luca is actually a super technical guitar player, and he is that guy. And in fact, in other tracks, we'll have him play some solos. Yeah, he's super technical stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I'm on the other side of that. I'm not a super technical guy either. More riffy. I'm a riffy guy.
Yeah, to each his own. Like I like the overall composition thing. I like to do sound design, all the effects, the overall thing. But I never like trained really hard to be the technical guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the sound design is something that's I think very interesting because it's nice to get more than just guitar and drum music. I think when you add in kind of the synths and the different kind of as you call it, sound design is really interesting. But what I was going to ask before I got into that was, can we expect any more kind of cameos from either guitar solos or vocals for any of the other upcoming tracks that you want to disclose?
I would like to disclose it, but I think my bandmates wouldn't want me to. But
there is.
Yeah, there is. There's two. There's two, and I'm super excited about them. Yeah, like
nice.
I can say, I mean, one, we're not really sure because he said yes, but he didn't send the tracks yet, so we're still
used to that.
Yep.
We're used to that.
But yeah, I'm super excited about those. I think the next song we're gonna release will not have a feature because we kind of want to do our own thing, but
Sure.
we'll definitely release some more with feature down the road. I think besides the marketing thing, which it's not really my point. Like if you want to reach an audience for another artist, you can nowadays you can run ads on their stuff. So for me, it's more like a collaboration thing where I want to work and actually like be creative with people that I how can you say that I respect artistically. So that's something that makes me happy more than a marketing thing per se.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask. Because I think because we had a guest feature on our song Paradigm, who was Aiden Holmes from the band, well, the now defunct band Dealer. And I was going to ask you because we got asked all the time. Did you see a lot of did you see any uptick in views or whatnot from that? And to be honest, I don't really think so. So I was going to ask you for that because I know for me it was really, like you said, more of a collaboration thing. It adds in that element of the song that fits really well, as did Lee McKinney's solo in your song. So did you see, by virtue of having Lee McKinney on, that maybe you saw a little bit more of an uptick in views or notoriety at all?
Well, since it's our first single, we didn't really have anything to compare it to, so I'm not sure about that. But maybe just having a name like you said gives people the impression that the product is good even before they click it. But that's pretty much it. I don't think it got like a ton of streams just for people looking for his name. But so I think it's more of something that people see and they get interested by it. Maybe they will click it and see what's up.
Yeah. So go back to the sound design thing. This may be a very silly question because I'm not at all into production at all. That stuff is way over my head. I mean, I sit here with a MIDI keyboard and I cannot figure out how to work the thing. So I'm not good at that stuff at all. I'm more of the marketing guy. So, for example, if a band came to you, with, as I called it, guitar and drum music, what are like some of the things that you look for in the music as far as a sound design standpoint? Like, are there certain elements of a song that you maybe look for when adding certain sound design things? Like, what's your process with that?
All right. So first of all, the main thing is understanding where the band wants to go. So I wouldn't do like effects and synths the same way for like melodic deathcore band like Defamed as I would with like trap metal project. Like recently, I did synths and sound design for Within Destruction for the whole record that's coming up. Yeah, so that was a completely different thing because they wanted to go like the trap metal kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So it was a completely different project, and the first thing is understanding what the band wants and where they want to go. And when you get that idea, you can like start getting ideas from themes, like if they have vocal themes or riffs, maybe like solos or like licks that stick out. You can build from there and develop like pads, strings sections that maybe create a nice ambience to the part. And you can also add additional layers, additional rhythm patterns if the section adds like needs more movement and stuff like that. So there's really not a formula to what I do. I just get inspired by the song and their style and try to pick both the parts to fit the arrangement and the sounds that will like be the best fit stylistically. So for example, if the band is super technical, maybe I would probably do some easier like arrangements so that they don't clutter the mix too much. Whereas if they're like, if they're heavy but have slow riffs, kind of like a beat down thing, maybe I can get more creative and add more stuff, more rhythmic stuff. So yeah, it depends on a project by project basis. And of course, sometimes bands have their own request. They will ask you to use some specific instruments. Or sometimes you just get super creative and wild. For example, in the last breakdown in Circles by Defamed, we added horns for some reason because we wanted it to be like super epic. Yeah, if you listen back to it in the final breakdown, there's horns. But yeah, and we have an idea for the next material they're gonna record here, but I don't want to disclose too much because that's the part of the job where I sometimes go crazy and super creative.
That's really cool, yeah, because that's something that we've personally been trying to, I guess, delve a little bit more into, is adding those different layers and synths or orchestral stuff to kind of really give it more of like a, because we're super inspired by like bands such as like August Burns Red and As I Lay Dying, who really don't do a lot of that stuff. They're really just kind of, I'm not saying bare bones, but I mean they're guitar, drums, bass, vocals. They don't really add in a lot of like the orchestral elements or anything like that. But the little that we have done, it really adds a nice flavor to it, and I think in a live experience, which we kind of touched on a little bit, I think adding those elements will make the live like sound sonically just sound way bigger and heavier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes the live experience so much better. Also because you can also use like interludes and stuff between songs, so it doesn't weird when people clap and you're like tuning the guitar and wait for the drummer to call the next song. But yeah, I think it adds like another layer of it adds something interesting to the live performance as well. So definitely.
Nice.
Have you guys had a chance to perform as a band live yet? I mean, I know you just released the single.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, we haven't because of COVID, of course. So we released it in May, so it's impossible for us at the moment. And we did some rehearsals, of course, but it's kind of difficult for us to. It was kind of difficult for us to do that because our drummer for like a year and a half, he moved to Australia, so we were working remotely. But yeah, he's a super talented drummer. So since we hadn't started, like we hadn't released anything, we just wanted to wait and see what would happen. And now he's back to Italy. But all the members are super busy with their own thing, their other bands. So we're not like actively looking for gigs right now. Because we have just one song out for at the moment. So I think we'll wait a few months and then see what happens. We definitely like to we'd like to do shows. The other band members would love that. to me, it's more about the production side of thing. Like I like to be creative, being in the studio, write things, and I did my fair share of live shows with my old bands, and I like that. But it's not. I'm not the touring guy, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely is. I mean, both Rich and I, we have kids. I have two. He's got one, and I think so. This was Rich's first band. I was in bands, 10 years ago when I was, back into high school, early in college university, and I think at this point, like you said in the beginning, in another conversation, unless you're on a good tour package, just going on tour to say you're going on tour and playing to 20 or 30 people a night in some back end alley venue. There's value there if you're really treating it like a vacation, right? But I think if you're going to treat it like a business, you want to go out there and have a purpose for going out there. So I think we can kind of share that a little bit, where it's not all about just being on the road. I mean, there's fun, but
yeah, there's definitely, I think, a difference going on a 2-week tour with a bunch of fellow local bands and a 2-week run with August Burns Red. I think there's a stark difference between that. So I think that is definitely, because what we have seen in our local scene right now is that, there's some venues around that are kind of doing like the 50% capacity thing, and there's people that are like just dying to play a show, and not that I'm saying that COVID is a good thing, definitely not, but what I was going to say is that in a way for us it really allowed us to take a step back, really like focus on songwriting and the songs, and really come back when shows are available with a more refined, a much better set list.
I mean, I think that concert shows are more fun when there's a lot of people having fun there. So I'm not even sure if shows were a thing right now. People will actually go there and be and feel safe and actually have fun. So that's a thing. But speaking in general, I don't think it's bad that people bands want to play small shows. I think that's fine if they want to have fun. I just think that maybe it's not something that always moves the needle. Like, it's not that the more shows you play, the bigger it gets. So as you said, when you kind of grow older and have other priorities like job and family, you kind of start to pick your own battles, and that's pretty much it. As long as you're when you're young and reckless, you will just play anywhere, and that's fine, and that's also fun. So yeah.
No, I would agree. I definitely it's no secret that shows are definitely fun. It's just it's really how you want to do your own project. But so I gotta say though, taking that, I'm not saying, because obviously you want to make the songs as best as you can, but did anybody kind of in Italy or around you kind of know about the project? Because I mean, to hold in all of this material for that long must have been difficult, to years and years of writing and having all this material that you haven't released yet. That must have been difficult to kind of keep that a secret, so to speak.
It wasn't actually a secret. We didn't release anything, of course, but I was talking to people that I knew about this project that I was working on, and I did that intentionally because I wanted them to be hyped when the actual song will be released. So I think that nowadays you don't really have to be to keep things secret. I think that the model that the band just releases one bigger song and then goes silent after, and then goes silent for a few months and then release another bigger one. Yeah, I mean, that's cool, but it doesn't really always work because social media algorithms are a thing. And I think you guys know that because you're doing reaction stuff, which I think is super smart for your band as well. So this project wasn't a secret. We just we were just waiting to release something that we were really happy about. That's it.
Yeah, because I think that unless you're, I think, a huge band, we've referenced As I Lay Dying a few times, But if you're them, I mean, you can be quiet for 10 years, literally almost, and come back with a song and people will lose their minds. But if you're an up and coming developing artist, I think it's super smart to do the pre-save campaigns, the teaser videos, the lead up, the build up, because I mean, if nobody knows who you are and you're like keeping it like a secret, like I don't want anybody to know about my new song, and then you release it, I don't think people are gonna like lose their minds in the same way that they would for, a bigger band. So I think that the pre-save campaigns are super smart and things like that, because like you said, with the reaction channel, and we've said this on numerous podcasts already, that was super intentional. It was I want me and Adam to do this because Adam and I are it's kind of like you and the screamer for your band. You're kind of at the forefront of it. You're kind of I guess leading the charge, so to speak. So I said, Adam, I really want, because I'm not really a musician. I just been yelling in the car for the last 10 years, so I figured I could probably join a band and try to do as best I could. But Adam knows a lot of the technical elements. So I said, Adam, how interesting would it be if we had me and you kind of offering two different perspectives, and we react to music that is in the same sphere as ours, so that hopefully it's kind of like a Facebook ad, right? You're hoping that you're targeting that audience so that when you release a song, by virtue, you'll have some carryover. So I think a lot of marketing techniques like that, and also even just pre-save giveaways, because we did a Nintendo Switch Lite, a super it's just one of those items that a lot of people could really enjoy. It's not like, you know what I mean? So I think that the whole keeping a lid on the stuff before it's released is, in a way, it's almost hurting yourself, because like you said, the way the algorithms work nowadays.
Right.
So I'm glad that somebody echoes that sentiment of trying to promote the music as much as you can leading up to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to say that I actually used some snippets and riffs of our song in some of my own YouTube videos, where I sometimes like demo plugins and do stuff like that. And I think that helped like creating a bit of hype, not much, but it's like giving some a taste of something to people, and then they'll want more. But besides that, I also wanted to say that I think this thing you guys are doing, both the reaction and the podcast, is super cool, because besides the what you get back from it, which is like engagement on your channel, I think this is something that goes beyond it, because it's actually like building a real relationship with people. Like if you think about it, how cool is that we are connecting together and we are like talking about the scene in Italy and what you guys are doing over the internet. That blows my mind. So I think this is what like music should really be about. And while doing so, like while building your own channel and community, you are also doing one. So that's the best of both worlds, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And I mean, yeah, building those relationships are which is also really important, because I mean, for example, we had, as Adam mentioned, If I Were You on, and now we're, their drummer, he's a producer as well. And we've never actually gone into a studio environment to record anything. We recorded all ourselves in Adam's basement, and we send it out to be mixed and mastered by Lance Prank from Australia. Yeah. Yeah, so the production on all of our songs is from him, and because his
not
production.
the EP, the last two singles. The EP, Ricky Armelino did it, and I think it was good for what we had done then. So
yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, the production on those two singles is done by him, and I think that he's an extremely talented audio engineer. But what I was going to say is we had them on the podcast, and now we're going to be going to do a single with him. And like what I was super interested to talk to you about was the sound design thing, because I mean, think about it, right? Like if we can get into like this groove where we record with Randy, we have it mixed and mastered by Lance, we get some sound design from Federico. I mean, that's a triumphant trio of talented people right there.
Yeah,
I love that. Oh, actually, I've just finished working with Lance on a record, which is the new Within Destruction record. Like I did the sound design, but he mixed and mastered it.
Oh, so, really? That's awesome.
Man, that's awesome.
I just remember when we got our first mix back for Paradigm, and I listened to it, and I was just like, Whoa. Like
I don't know what he does, but he gets the noise floor so high that like it's gonna break your head.
His mixes are super aggressive and loud. So yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to ask you would be, because I asked Randy this from If I Were You as well. So what's your so you as a producer, when you're in the studio, what is your kind of sweet spot for what bands come in with material wise? Do you want them to come in with, say if they're working on an album, do you want them to come in with, a good chunk of the album already written, or do you like to write some songs with the bands, or what is kind of like your, like if they come in with this, what it like you're most comfortable with it?
Okay. It definitely depends on the band, on the style, and how talented they are, in my opinion, because they're like I've had the pleasure of working with people that were so talented that I honestly would have not added anything to their stuff. Like sometimes a genre will be so specific. Like I work with this band called Black Sun. They're on Defamed Records, and they're like genty mathcore kind of stuff, like Tony Danza or Glass Cloud or stuff like that.
Nice.
Wow.
That stuff is so crazy that if you want to produce that thing, you're either like in the head of the guitar player, or you're as technical as he is, or like you will just let him do his thing. So it really depends on what I'm working on at the moment. So yeah, as I said, for very specific bands, sometimes I will not like add anything because I think they're already like better than I would have done. But with other bands, yeah, I sometimes have wrote full records for them, but
Wow.
that's like everything in between. I definitely prefer it when bands come with demos. So yeah, things that are like 90% there, and it's the best that they can do, and I kind of take it from there and say, okay, maybe let's change the structure a little bit. This breakdown doesn't really hit super hard, so let's maybe try something new. Let's add some synths here. Let's change the vocal melody, add some harmonies and stuff. So it really is all over the place. And I'm actually in a record right now where I co-wrote all the songs with the band, me and the main singer. And it's like, I think those are the situations where you get more creative, because you can like try a bunch of weird stuff. So for example, in this case, it's kind of a pop project with heavy guitars. So we kind of found a guitar tone that sounds like a bass or something. And it's super fun because it's something I haven't heard before in other productions. So it has a different like frequency spectrum. You can fit more sounds in it. You can fit like different arrangement elements. So I like to get creative, and honestly, the amount of creativity I can put into a project really depends on people that I have in front of me. Sometimes they don't really like that I'm super hands-on on the songs. They kind of want to do their own thing, and I respect that. If I understand they want to like come up with ideas on their own, I will just tell them maybe try some like other ideas for this section, and they will come back to the studio with another riff, and most of the time it will be better. So I think a producer should understand also the psychology of the person he has in front of him. And yeah, that plays a role. So I like people to have a good experience, and I like to make good music. I think the producer and the artist should be on the same team. So the most important thing is communication, and when the producer and artist can communicate correctly, that's when like people are happy to work together, and the song turn out their best, in my opinion.
Nice.
That's interesting to me that a lot of bands, well, not a lot, but you said that some bands will come in and kind of want to do their own thing. I would love like to go, because as Adam and I have said, we said this to Galactic Criminal on our last podcast too. We listened to our own song, as you know, like for the Wind Covenant. You listen to that song 8 million times before anybody hears it one time. So I think that having a producer on board that kind of gets you outside of that echo chamber of like, this riff's awesome, that arrangement's awesome, that breakdown hits hard. I think that would be a very valuable thing. So it's interesting to me that some bands come to you and they're like, we want to do our own thing. and that's it. So that's really interesting to me. I would think that having a producer, you would want that, you know, fifth or sixth set of ears on the project.
Absolutely. You know, sometimes I only just mix and master stuff that people record themselves, like you guys have done. So it depends, I think, also on the budget the band has, and as I said, on the what point they're at in their musical journey. Sometimes they'll be more open to new ideas. Sometimes they just want to, you know, to get out of their head the ideas that they have in that time frame. So I think, you know, sometimes they just want to do their thing, and I think that's fine. But I totally get what you mean. Like, I listened to Damnation 1,000 times, and sometimes I was like, this stuff is so boring. I'm not gonna put it out. I was like, you know, sometimes you just get the you get used to that. You don't even know if it's good or not anymore. And I think it's part of the reason why it took us so long, why it took me so long to finish the production and mix, because to be as objective as possible with your own material, you kind of need to take breaks from it. So it's definitely not something that I have worked on every day of the last 3 years. Sometimes I will just like leave them for a month and then come back with a, like, you know, a fresh mindset. And I think it worked. Like, taking breaks from stuff definitely makes you better when you come back to it, and more objective.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So do you have any, you know, cool projects that you're working on right now that, you know, you can name drop that, you know, maybe some of our listeners or viewers here can go check out that you're working on or you have worked on?
Yeah, some cool stuff. I think, as I said, the Within Destruction record that's dropping on August 12, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I'm really stoked on. There's some great songs. They definitely are. They have changed from their previous stuff, but they're still super heavy. So I think Within Destruction fans will be still happy about the material. Even though, of course, there's a different aesthetic and overall theme. And then Defamed will be dropping new music very soon. That's definitely one of the bands I have most fun working with. And I'm working with Sharks in Your Mouth again. That's another metalcore band from Italy. They're releasing a new song that we just recorded vocals for a couple of days ago.
Nice.
And I'm also doing some very interesting pop albums, but, you know, nothing that I think your audience could recognize, because for pop I mainly work with Italian artists that sing in Italian, so it's kind of completely different market.
Yeah, when I was doing some research, I was trying to find some interviews with you, and I did, and they were nothing I could understand. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I saw you had one that was in Italian, but it did have the English subtitles.
I lost them about halfway through or a quarter way through or something like that. So
I was actually when you had said Sharks in Your Mouth, I was like, I think I have a song by them in my library, and I do. It's the Lose Yourself cover that they did. Did you work on that, or?
Yeah, that song blew up. Like, we had no idea about that. And I think it just surpassed 5 million streams on YouTube like 2 months ago, and it's almost at 6 right now. So I don't know how that stuff happened. We had no control over it. It just blew up. Just no idea. And I think that people right now are using it on TikTok. Like, it went viral on TikTok as well.
Oh wow! Cool. So it's still going viral even years later. There's a lot of bands with sharks in the title. You got Sharks in Your Mouth, Feeder to the Sharks, Shark and Fat. It's like, what's up with these sharks and metal?
They're dangerous and heavy.
Yeah, they're aggressive.
I have no idea. I have no idea about that. I think they got their name from one "I Killed the Prom Queen" song.
Yeah,
oh really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
So speaking of, I was actually going to ask. I was going to mention one other thing, but the other thing that the other you had mentioned were names. Where did the Wind Covenant name come from? We probably should have asked that like an hour ago, but.
All right, so it doesn't really have a very deep meaning. It's just a combination of words that I thought sounded cool. I went over 1,000 names, and honestly, it's the one that I preferred. I think it kind of has that eerie vibe that I wanted all the songs to have, and all the bands thought it was a good fit, and we kept it. That's it.
That's all right. Our name came from a place in the game World of Warcraft, so the names come from from wherever. It doesn't really. I mean, there's a lot of silly band names like The Devil Wears Prada and stuff like that. So, what I was gonna say though, Adam, when we work with Lance, we really benefit a lot from the conversion rate monetarily, but in Italy, they have the euro, so we're getting a little screwed if we ever use Federico for some sound design, because the U.S. dollar is not as powerful over there like it is in Australia. It's great to send Lance some USD to AUD.
Stop giving the secret away.
It's great. It's great, but you have the euro, because I was actually looking at that. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's the euro, but I want to make sure.
What is it, like 25% more now or something?
It's I think it said that for every $1 US, it's 89 cents for the euro. So it's close.
So,
it's
comparable. So it's 11% difference.
It's something like that, but if you want to make this happen, we'll find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Perfect. No, because I really think the sound design is valuable. But go ahead, Adam. What were you going to say?
So I was going to say, I mean, I've seen you use some plugins. Do you partner with any of these plugins? And we typically give you the floor at the end, but I like to talk about some of the technologies that bands use. So tell me a little bit about the plugins and stuff that you use or you might be partnered with.
All right, so I'm not actually endorsed by any company, and as I mentioned, I do I have my own YouTube channels where I sometimes upload some weird stuff or some creative stuff like different covers, or as I said, demo plugins and reviews. That's not something I'm not. Sometimes they'll send me plugins to demo. But it's not like I have an endorsement with one company, so I have to speak highly of them. I just, honestly, one thing that I do is I review only stuff that I like, because, I don't really like to talk shit about stuff that I don't like. I think that maybe other people will like it. So if I don't like something, I will just not upload it on my channel. That's it. So yeah, stuff that I review is stuff that I like, and mainly lately I've been blown away by the guitar plugin by STL Tones. STL Tonality is amazing, in my opinion. Neural DSP, of course, is great. Those are the main two ones that I'm most stoked on at the moment. In fact, I actually have a camper on my studio, but since the guys at STL Tones released the Tonality, which is kind of like a camper in a plugin, let's say.
Yep.
I haven't turned on my camper in 1 month and a half. Yeah, so I mean, it's working great. Sometimes I'll do real reamps with real amps and stuff. I have my EVH at my Mesa Cab and stuff like that at another studio here in town.
Yep.
But nowadays plugins are great. They work fantastically. That's.
Do you find that you're using more of the plug-in modeling software rather than the real amps and cabs in a lot of the bands that you may work with, or do you see still that mix? Because there's still some hardcore, if it doesn't have a tube in it, it's not a real amp type thing. I'm very big into the digital production, just because I can go to a show with a 16U rack case, and that's literally all we bring outside of drums. So do you see a little bit more of that in the industry, or do you still see that split?
I mean, I think that plugins, as I said, sound great nowadays, and I'll definitely use them on a lot of mixes, and I have no problem with that. I think that as long as stuff sounds great, it's great, no matter where it comes from. Sometimes I like to use real amps because for some specific type of sounds, it's easier and quicker to get them with real amps. I think even with high gain guitars, it's a bit easier maybe to get them to be a bit cleaner, if it makes sense, without nasty resonances in the high frequency range. Whereas with plugins, you kind of have to clean weird frequencies sometimes. But that's not always the case. That depends on the arrangement, on how the guitar player played this part. Like sometimes when the guitar player has a strong picking hand, it's best to use real amps. But when it has a soft picking hand, like maybe the plugin will help, like having a more glued guitar sound, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the articulation, you can hear, you know, different notes and stuff. And
exactly. So yeah, it depends on the dynamic and on the arrangement, in my opinion. But I like to use everything. I think everything has its own place. And of course, if we are talking like metalcore or modern mixes like this one, you know, you can totally get away with plugins. I think if you're doing like different genres, maybe more organic kind of productions. I don't know. I haven't done many of those lately, but for those, I kind of tend to use real amps, but not really for a for the sound itself, but more for the experience. Like bands love to get in the studio, actually play with like together in a room and set up amps. And I think sometimes part of like producing a record is also like capturing an experience and capturing a moment. So
right.
whatever is like gives the best vibe for the art is the right thing to do. For example, in Damnation, the guitars were done with a Kemper. That's it. So no like strange stuff or like esoteric weird reamps. But yeah, I've totally done other mixes where I will reamp with real amps, maybe use multiple mics. Sometimes I layer real amps with one layer from Kemper. Sometimes I'll do like real high gain amps with a like kind of crunchy, clean Vox AC30 kind of sound to give it a bit more dynamics. So you know, whatever is right for the record, in my opinion.
Nice.
See, this guy knows what he's talking about. So now, what I'm going to do is after the podcast, talk to Adam about because the sound design thing is super interesting to me. That's what when I talked to you, I really wanted to talk about that because when I was initially kind of looking into your background, that was what really stuck out to me because I don't know if a lot of I don't know if that's as prevalent with a lot of like metalcore producers is the emphasis on not the emphasis but part of your portfolio being sound design. But yeah, this was awesome. I really enjoyed talking to you, Federico. I'm sure that Adam feels the same way.
I loved it. I was excited for this. I was bummed we had to reschedule.
But yeah, man. So anyways, go ahead. Plug away. The floor is yours. Yeah, go.
Yeah,
go
what
for
do you got upcoming? Anything?
Well, I guess if people who are watching want to know more about me, they can go to my website, which is www.federicoascari.com, which is just my name and last name.com. Or they can go to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Federico Ascari audio. And that's it. Or you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, on all social media. I like to be pretty active on all socials. So definitely get in touch and feel free to say hi.
Awesome.
Awesome.
And
do we have a release date yet for the Wind Covenant?
We don't, but
okay. I was gonna say you don't have to tell us, but there is more coming.
We don't. I think we'll wait a bit because we want to like release some other things related to Damnation, and then we'll release another video, and I'm sure you guys are the first one to know.
Sweet.
Love it.
Sounds good. Well, Federico, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate the time.
This was awesome.
And yeah, man, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Take care.
All right.
See you.
Bye.
Thank you so much if you made it to this point of the podcast. We really appreciate it. Both Adam and I do a lot.
Very much.
Make sure, if you want to support the podcast, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and a review. And also make sure you share this podcast wherever you can. Unlike music, which we are more so used to promoting, these platforms don't really do a whole lot to help podcasts be promoted. So the only way to do so is to, like I said, share it, word of mouth. And also, if you want to support us even further, like we said, we are a band called TrueShot. Stream our music, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to music. And if you want to support us even more than that, we have a merch store, TrueShot.BigCartel.com, where you can go to pick up some merch from us. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
listening. Goodbye.